Hello everybody, and welcome to a Beyond Worlds live stream. Now on a different day because I literally forgot yesterday was Monday for the entirety of Monday. I did not realize that I forgot to stream until like 10 a.m. today. But I did not want to put this game off another week after already. It's a cursed game apparently. I just cannot get time to play it. It does not want to be played. Anyway, today we're going to be playing the sequel to Parsnip, The Testimony of Trixie Glimmer Smith. This is where the series comes into its own. Parsnip is a cute game, but that's kind of obvious in its horroriness. I think this one's a bit better designed in general. The mostly visual novel format lends itself a lot better to it. I think I'm just gonna jump on in. There ain't really a whole lot of setup here. It doesn't really matter if you didn't play Parsnip, but it does encourage you to, well, with having like a literal link to the game if you click here. Actually, no, I lied. What's the About section say? Patrons and licensing. All the good stuff. Name is Trixie Glimmer Smith. And that skips things. Well, that's okay. This is her story. It all takes place in the past tense. It's her testimony. She's explaining what happened. She had a rough week. It's 2 weeks till my coursework deadline. Time to start this report on Blue Hill County Cultural Exports, 1800 to 1900. Sat and stared at the brief for about 10 minutes. Okay, no more slacking. It's time to get to work. I noticed I just clicked onto a 2-hour video essay about memes on video.com. Love that website. Before I had any more time to be distracted, there was a loud knock at my door. I jumped, knocking my cereal over. Milk and chocolate-covered sugar flakes spilt across my generic student accommodation carpet. Someone outside yelled, "Trixie Glimmer Smith, open up! We have something to discuss." I recognized the voice. It was Nikita, my course's top student. We didn't talk often because she's kind of horrible. I slammed the spacebar and quickly opened up a website about sheep. It wasn't really relevant to my work, but I hoped it might look educational enough to make Nikita judge me slightly less. Nikita scared the crap out of me, and I didn't want to keep her waiting, so I ignored the puddle of chocolate milk seeping into my carpet and opened the door. Nikita immediately marched straight into my room without asking, and I ended up backed into my desk. Right, Trixie, you have to do me a favor. Her eyes briefly glanced at the cereal puddle, but quickly looked back onto me, like the lasers of a sniper rifle trained on my skull. I instinctively sat back down in my chair and looked up at Nikita. I probably looked pretty subby. It would almost be kind of hot if I wasn't a fucking loser. Poor Trixie. Look, Trixie. If I hadn't bailed you out last term by doing your coursework for you, you'd be fucking dead, right? I mean, I know. You'd be living in a bush and eating dirt because you don't want to go home to your family and admit you fucked up your education by sleeping through an entire term. I mean, that's a little harsh. I'd also been playing video games, writing raunchy fanfiction, and growing breasts. It would be nice to get some recognition for that for once. But I know it was. But listen, my point is you owe me big time for literally saving your life. You didn't literally save my life, what the fuck? Whatever. Look, I just want you to find me a play script. It's easy. Oh, is that all? I mean, sure, I can do that. I guess you did help me a lot, right? Sorry, it's just, you were being really aggressive, so I assumed you were going to make me kill someone or something. Abby, maybe. You hate her. Miss Knight is a try-hard bitch wasting everyone's time by running against me for student president, but I don't need her dead. I need to keep her around to make me look good. Tabby keeps psyker crystals in her bra to prevent lunar interference, which I'm pretty sure isn't even a word. That's a pretty low standard to make you look good. I felt pretty bad saying that. Tabby was really nice, even if she was a little quirky and didn't really notice me. That said, interference definitely isn't a word. I'm not very likable, so I need all the help I can get. Anyway, shut up. Your laptop is playing a video called Sheep Falling Over Compilation 6, while your coursework paper is titled, and I quote, "Starred Soon." Are you going to help me, or am I just going to have to never bail you out of one of your fuck-ups again? I glanced at my laptop. EpicSheepFails.com wasn't as educational as I thought. Fine, what do you want exactly? More specific than just a play script? Last night, I was walking back from the library when I noticed some paper fluttering about. I don't usually make a point of picking stuff up off the floor, but something drew me to it. I picked it up and realized it contained writing. I read it right there in the courtyard. When I finished reading, I stood in silence for some time. I read an excerpt from The King in Yellow. I don't know how it got there, but I'm certain if that page was there, then the rest must be nearby. A surviving copy of the infamous cursed play. Do you realize how important that is? I had heard rumors of the King of Yellow and of the ghastly writings within. I very much doubted Nikita had found a page lying around at university. Copies were meant to be impossible to get hold of, supposedly all lost, hidden, or burnt long ago. Wow, I always assumed that play was kind of a myth. Are you sure it was legit? Maybe you just found part of someone's fanfiction? He just slammed her fist onto my desk with a bang. I know it's real. Sorry. It's okay, you're probably right. Only a real loser would write fanfiction about the King in Yellow. Many people are saying this. The completed play would be of immeasurable importance to my studies. I could write my entire thesis analyzing how it's affected folklore both locally and worldwide. I need the full copy. Now, after the initial shock of finding it set in, I started sneezing. I concluded that there must be some kind of allergen on the paper. I happen to be allergic to exactly one thing in the world. Not being a bitch? Shut the fuck up. I'm allergic to daffodils. Daffodil Lane is a few miles from here. I happen to know that the lane has a lot of daffodils, hence the shitty name. Given their relative rarity elsewhere in the county, I believe the page may have originated there. I'd rather avoid going there myself. I'm too important to get mildly uncomfortable. Besides, I'm busy brainstorming slogans for my student union presidency campaign. Right now, I'm thinking, knowledge through unity. Unity through Nikita. Oh, jeez. Whatever. As a thank you for me saving your life, you're kindly going to Daffodil Lane and finding the rest of that play for me. Good? Thanks. Still wasn't convinced there would be anything to find, but I kinda wanted Nikita to leave my room before she noticed I'd left some of my underwear on the floor. I mean, I hadn't agreed yet, but fine, I'll go. Just stop being so rude to me. It's not a good work relationship. Fantastic. Thank you for being so accommodating, Trixie. I'll let you get on with it. I have some books to read. Nikita brushed some dust off her shirt and left without a goodbye. According to my laptop, it was still pretty early. I guess I should get going. I may as well get this over with so Nikita stops bothering. I found some snacks. I knew I would need them on my quest, errand, whatever this crap was. 20-pack of cheese ropes. I fucking love artificial flavorings. Found my phone under an old shirt. Not that it came in much use. You can basically only take calls and receive messages after years of wear and tear. My phone's light flickers unless you constantly shake it like a maraca, so I brought along a torch as well. It's a British game. A torch seemed like one of those things it was good to have when you're looking for things. In retrospect, I should have made sure it had batteries in it before I left. I crammed everything into my bat bag. A lot of people accuse me of having a bat fetish because of all my bat products, but it's not true. I just like that bat cartoon, Cyber Draculas from Space, from a few years ago. But there's no official merchandise for it, and those bats were really cute. Anyway, I got distracted by my laptop for a while. Well, like 3 hours, so I got a lot of work done. Kinda. And so we return. The good old Daffodil Lane. Never been good with summer. I usually just hide inside, so I had underestimated how hard it would be out in the sun. It was also about here I realized I never cleaned up the cereal on my floor. But I did eventually reach Daffodil Lane. I took a little rest in some shade and got my bearings. Phew. I hope the weather gets worse soon. I could use some rain to cool me off. Took a look down the lane from my vantage point. 4 quaint little cottages dotted the dirt road, and at the far end was the tree line of Blue Hill Woods. I'd been in the woods once before as part of my course. They were old and filled with interesting landmarks. I considered taking a walk in them once I sorted out the play stuff. It was probably cooler under the trees. Hi! Ah! A small, rather eccentric-looking rabbit had appeared behind me while I was distracted. Before I could say anything, he held out a weird yellow string. Since we're such great friends, I made you a friendship string. Friendship string was about 6 inches of tattered yarn, seemingly dipped in yellow acrylic paint and sprinkled with what appears to be sugar. Love Parsnip's great theme here. Excellent work with the music in this game. It was faintly disturbing on a level I can't communicate, even after everything else that transpired in the following days. I added sugar, so you can taste it if you get hungry. I hope you like it, best friend. He seemed proud of himself. I will keep this important string. Confused, I took the string out of the rabbit's paw and held it up for a closer look. Looked just as bad up close. I shivered. Something about the string and its strange creator felt deeply wrong. Hey, Marbles. Thank you for arriving. It's, this music is basically the mood. This is not the correct stream date. And even then, I was still late. With a 24-hour delay, that still wasn't quite enough. I shook my head slightly. I was being silly. The string was harmless. Tucked the string away into my bag. Thanks? So who are... Hi, I'm Parsnip, and that's my cottage. He jabbed a paw at the nearest cottage, the one with a well-kept daffodil patch in front of it. A small sign with "My Cottage" written on it stood on the path next to it, clearly marking the cottage as someone's cottage. Oh, hi Parsnip, my name's Trixie. I'm looking for a book that might be around here. Have you heard of The King in Yellow? Wow, I love yellow. Oh wow, it's my favorite color. Oh, okay, well it's good that you like yellow. The book, though, do you know it? I don't read books, they are so boring. I'm Parsnip and I'm a fun one. Wanna come play with me? I don't think Trixie is not good at saying no to people, just in general. So I think she will not do that. This was getting too weird. I wanted out. Wow, look at that! I pointed into the distance. Parsnip just stared at me. I'd much rather look at you, new friend. Oh, okay. Well, I can't come play with you right now, because, like, I have to find the book for my friend, remember? Wow, that sounds really exciting. You're like a detective. Oh, I mean, it's more of an indebted servitude thing. Like, I don't really care. Well, wow, cool. That's amazing. Before I could begin to formulate a response to Parsnip, the sound of a cuckoo clock blared from inside his cottage. It was loud, even from a good 50 feet away. Uh-oh, it's time for trumpet practice. I'll talk to you later, new friend. He merrily skipped off to his cottage. Okay, bye. I crossed Parsnip off my list of potential owners of a forbidden play. He didn't seem like someone who would own anything that required reading. Started to walk down the lane, past the out-of-tune trumpeting blasting from Parsnip's cottage. I'm not convinced he even had the trumpet the right way round. Figured I'd try the next cottage. Didn't look as well kept as Parsnip's, but I could see some art easels set up in the garden, which piqued my interest. An arty person might have a copy of an evil play, just to make a statement. Hey, cool, an artist. I can relate to them. I drew a picture once. I approached the cottage and caught sight of a rabbit lounging in a deck chair, smoking and drinking wine. Classy. He was tall, stylish, and pretty. I was pretty hyped to meet what I assumed must be a famous artist. Either she didn't see me, or chose to ignore me. I noticed her cigarette wasn't even lit. Hey, hi? I waved nervously. I wasn't used to talking to professional artists who were probably rich. She tilted her sunglasses down slightly to look at me before pushing them back up. Hello? I trailed off. My head felt light from the heat. I swayed side to side, starting to regret not bringing a drink. Sorry, I don't have any water with me, so I'm a little out of it. Anyway, like, I just walked down from university and Wait, you walked all the way here from the university? Without any water? In this heat? I remember letting out a quiet yes and collapsing, but not much else until I woke up a few minutes later. The rabbit's face was looking down at me from her deck chair. She looked mildly concerned, but apparently not enough to move me from being face down in the dirt. You fainted. Are you okay? I think so? Could I maybe have some water? I brought some out for you already. She motioned towards a glass of wine on the ground beside me. That's wine. Rabbit went wide-eyed under her glasses. Oh, so it is. How did that get there? She picked up the wine and shuffled shamefully into her cottage, returning a few moments later with some tap water. Thanks. Down the water and felt a little better. It was pretty stupid of me to not bring any with me. I realized I hadn't introduced myself, and I thought I better do it before it became too awkward. Hi. Hello. I didn't do a great job of it. I'm Trixie. LaRose. There was a frosty silence. So, sorry to bother you, it's just I'm doing someone a favor. They think there's a copy of some old playbook around here, The King in Yellow. Can't say I've heard of this. Are you sure your friend didn't say Daffodil Library? You know, the one in town? I briefly worried she had. No, I'm pretty certain she said Daffodil Lane. I don't know where it could be, though. I asked, Parsnip next door? The Rose seemed to grimace at the mention of Parsnip. You spoke to Parsnip. Are you sure? You look like you still have the will to live. I didn't, but that was unrelated. I mean, yeah, a bit. Is he that bad? I mean, he's a little excitable for sure, but... Rose's blood pressure looked like it was rising rapidly. Let's engage. Tell me about Parsnip. Everyone wants to know what's the issue with Parsnip. We're all asking this all the time. He isn't like that all the time, right? He moved in like a month ago, and there hasn't been a day since that I haven't considered torching his cottage. She downed half a wine bottle in about 5 seconds. I was impressed. He seems to know the exact best way to piss me off in any given situation. And I mean, he broke into my house a few weeks back while I was in the shower. All he did was steal some candles, but geez. He's a real weirdo. I don't believe in police though, so if he tries that shit again, I'll just get my old cricket bat out and launch him into the woods like a ball. She finished her wine and reached for another bottle. So yeah, I fucking hate Parsnip. The burglary definitely put a damper on my opinion of Parsnip. Still, I hoped maybe LaRose was exaggerating. He didn't seem quite that bad when I had spoken to him. Wow, that's... weird. Anyway, sorry. The book, you haven't seen it? She shook her head. I don't get out much, though. If it's around here, I probably wouldn't see it. I didn't even realize my neighbors were missing until the police came knocking. Oh geez, the squirrels, yeah. Didn't it turn out they just went on a cruise to the Pacific Islands because they're rich and got bored? It was on the news for ages. No. I accidentally started the rumor that they just ran off to go on a cruise during the school term. Probably true, they were rich. Rich people do that stuff, right? I don't think she was expecting an answer. Look, I was brainstorming, okay? It's not my fault the police just took that as a fact and ended the investigation immediately. I'm sure they're all fine. The police just dumped all the evidence they collected outside and left. ACAM. What's the M? ACAM, right? All cops are monsters? ACAM. All cops are messy. Point is, you could go poke in the boxes if you want. They won't care. Maybe you'll find your book. Huh, yeah, maybe. Let's get on with it. Decided I'd better get a move on. Rose looked like she had some stuff to do, like lounging around in the sun all day, pretending to smoke. Well, anyway, sorry to bother you. I'll go take a look at those evidence boxes. Thanks for your help. Good luck with... Glanced towards Parsnip's cottage. Discordant trumpet noises were still piping out of it. LaRose nodded. She seemed to know what I meant. She went straight back to staring off into the distance. I let her get on with it and headed over to the neighboring cottage. LaRose was right. The police had left their investigation unfinished and just dished the evidence into a couple of boxes. Fortunately, the summer had been a dry one, and everything seemed to be in good condition. I peered through one of the cottage's windows. It was definitely deserted. It was probably a pretty nice place when it was looked after. I could see the occasional bit of half-eaten food laying around on the floor, making a mess of the otherwise cozy middle-class countryside retreat. I started sorting through the box labeled Kitchen 1. Most of it seemed to be old bits of snack packaging and half-eaten food. Gross. Fortunately, most of it was so artificial it wasn't even capable of molding. Interestingly, a DVD copy of Jenny Jason's Archery Training Time for the Game Machine 100 also had a large bite mark taken out of it, and the toaster seemed to have lick marks on the grill. An entire box of sugar acorns seemed to have been emptied into the box, coating everything with a thin layer of nutritionless dust. Someone had been very hungry. The next box, Kitchen 2, only had a couple of gas canisters inside. I guess they were for the cottage's stove. I don't think Daffodil Lane has much by the way of actual infrastructure. The last box, labeled Kids Room, contained the only real interesting stuff. My eyes went straight towards a small games console and a selection of video games. I spotted one of my favorites, Gun Attack 2. Oh hey, this kid is one of those little fuckers who always screamed abuse at me when I tried to play that online. Actually, I probably shouldn't refer to a possibly missing kid as a little fucker. That feels a little wrong. There are more sweet wrappers though. The kid had clearly diversified their diet by eating crisps on special occasions. This kid doesn't seem the type to collect old play scripts. I doubt it would be in here. In fact, I don't think there's a single word in this box that isn't a brand name. As I said this, I realized I was wrong. There were some very obvious words in this box, and I don't know how I missed them before. A small paper booklet, scrawled in faded felt-tip writing, read, "There is a monster near the woods." Underneath was a crude scribble, vaguely resembling a crouching figure with a woolly thick body and 4 eyes. Some kind of imaginary monster. Or maybe a wool suitor, I thought. Oh shit, that's ominous. You can't just say things are ominous, Trixie. The handwriting was childlike and shaky. It couldn't have been more than a month old. It was probably written as part of some silly game, I thought, but that didn't stop it from filling with dread. What was that monster? I realized the message was written on the front of a small scrap paper booklet. It looked like it had been written and illustrated by the kid. Squirrel Warrior Princess Adventure. Squirrel Warrior Princess was on an adventure to save the Squirrel Princess Dragon. She went through the hills and there was a monster shaped like a woolly person. Squirrel Warrior Princess shot him with bow and arrows and won. "That is what you get if you are my enemy," said Squirrel Warrior Princess, said Squirrel. She drove her car, big car, fast, and reached Castle Grimskull. "I am here to save you, Squirrel Princess Dragon," said Squirrel Warrior Princess. She went through the castle and used her gun to shoot the bad enemies, and she went up the castle. "No one can defeat me, I am the strongest warrior," I said. I would play this CZT game for sure. A skeleton popped out, but Squirrel Warrior Princess punched it, and it fell down and cried, and I laughed at it. "That was really brave, thank you for saving me," said Squirrel Princess Dragon. She flapper her dragon wings. She has dragon wings and can breathe fire, but she's a squirrel. They played video games together and won single player on Medallion of Honor. The end. It's firing. I decided it was best to leave before I left much more incriminating DNA on everything. I felt pretty sure I wasn't going to find the plane amongst that junk, and I wasn't breaking into what was technically still a crime scene on Nikita's behalf, so I headed down the lane to the last cottage. I strolled past the sheep field. The silly creatures were absent-mindedly chewing on grass, as sheep are apt to do. It looked like a refreshingly simple life. The field was overshadowed by a large tree. There seemed to be a few shiny pieces of jewelry trapped up high in its branches. Maybe it was one of La Rosa's art pieces? A ragged nest was perched high up near the top. It looked deserted. There we get all the nostalgia here for the previous game. Cottage at the end of Daffodil Lane was a bleak building. The windows and door were all boarded up. Its interior was dark, and the entire building had an uneasy aura around it. Compared to its scenic surroundings, this place was a septic sore. I remembered the child's creepy message. If there was anywhere near the woods a monster would live, it was here. I was almost relieved to realize I had no way of getting the boarded up door open. Oh no, there's no way I can get into this cottage. I am so weak and brittle. I felt a little cowardly, so went out of my way to half-heartedly tug at one of the planks. Fortunately, I'd never been strong, and estrogen has further reduced my ability to pull planks off of things. Well, that was conclusive. I can't possibly get these off of my weak little arms. I almost used this as an excuse to get out of doing Nikita's busy work, but without her help, I knew I'd fail my coursework. I wasn't going to go home a failure. I'll forever regret not taking the excuse. I should get a crowbar or something, I think. I think that's how people get planks off of things, like, in games and stuff. I'll head to town. I'm sure I can find some boring old person shop that sells tools there. I dusted off my hands and started my hike back to town, somewhat regretting never learning to ride a bike. The monster near the woods would have to wait. It was a long walk back to town. Still, the exercise was probably good for me. I hadn't spent much time in town since moving to Blue Hills. It's too loud and busy for me. I was looking for a tool shop or something when I noticed a small shop called Heidi's. In the window was a big poster, all crowbars half price. That was convenient for sure. The shop seemed empty. I'm just immediately distracted by all the good plush things. I like the sheep. Hello, is anyone here? Nothing. There was a door behind the counter, slightly ajar. I guessed it led to an office or something. Maybe the owner is in there? I want to look at all this good stuff. I guess I'll just wait a while. I looked around the shop. It seemed to sell everything. Magazines, tools, sweets. The pricing on everything seemed to be almost random. I had no idea how Heidi was running the shop this way. Took a look at the vending machine in the corner. It didn't have a window, so I had no idea what was in stock. I gave it a tap. Spark! Ah! Before I could think too hard about what had happened, I noticed the cute Cyber Draculias from Space Plushie, the only bit of official merchandise ever produced for the show. They'd been taken off market because they contained lead, but it looked like Heidi hadn't gotten the memo. Hey, don't break that! Oh, I forgot that she's got like a Quake 2 theme. I dropped the plushie back onto its shelf. A hyena had stepped through the door to the back room. Either her spots were dyed red or she was splattered in blood. I assumed this must have been Heidi. Sorry, aren't those like toxic though? Jeez, who are you, the PC police? He smirked. I think she was trying to make a joke. We're all hoping. Also, I think your vending machine yelled at me? Yeah, it does that. Anyway. Welcome to Heidi's. How may I help you today? That only looked and sounded extremely forced. I saw the poster for crowbars. Could I get one? It was an exceptionally fake laugh. I was a little worried I was being mocked. Sorry, kid, I sold out a few hours ago. Unlucky. I'd overstocked. Typed an extra 3 zeros into the supplier's site. Ended up with 2,000 of the things. Had to start selling them off dirt cheap, but then the supplier just bought them all back. Guess they want to resell them. Still, I made a good profit on it, those suckers. She paused for a moment, doubt flashing across her face. She started counting on her fingers, her grin quickly turning into a frown. She recounted, and then recounted again. Those fuckers, I mean, 4,000 pound loss. Mr. Crowbar is fucking dead. She seemed to remember I was there. Yeah, anyway, you want a crowbar, right? What for? You don't look like the DIY type. No offense. It was a little offensive. Although admittedly very true. I need to break open a door. I realized that probably sounded pretty suspicious, so I tried to defuse the situation. I'm not a burglar, it's my door. A strange mix of resignation and confusion appeared on her face. You accidentally boarded up your own door. The first challenging prompt here. She's a bad liar. Let's see her continue to be bad at lying. Yeah. I boarded my bedroom door up last night while I was super drunk. I was mega high from snorting mind-altering substances. Haha. It was... lit. I have a lot of friends and we get drunk and do carpentry. I think I overdid it. Right. In fact, I think she had stopped caring. Heidi dashed through the door behind the counter and quickly reappeared with a crowbar. This is one of my personal crowbars, and I need my others, so if you somehow break it, don't come begging for a replacement. I don't offer warranties. It's 15 pounds. I rooted through my pockets and realized I'd forgotten my wallet. All I had was about 3 pounds in coins and a Demon trading card, which was a little odd since I don't even collect those. I kinda forgot my money. You forgot you needed money to pay for things at shops. Yeah, I guess. You accept trading cards? She didn't look amused. She drummed her fingers on the counter for a moment. Okay, whatever. What if you owe me a favor? I hope this wasn't going to be a weird sex thing. It's not a weird sex thing. Don't make that face, pervert. I suddenly resented my naturally pervy face. I wasn't thinking that. What was it you did want? Nothing crazy. Just help storing some extra stock. Usually I have to do it myself, but 2 hands are better than 1, right? Of course, you'll have to sign an NDA. Or not, what do I care? I have a taser. It didn't sound very exciting, but I needed the crowbar, so I didn't have much choice. Okay, as long as it's just something small and legal. Another unconvincing laugh. I think it was supposed to sound friendly? Yeah, it's fine. It's small. It's legal. Did you just try to fake a reassuring laugh? Fuck off. It was real. Give me your number so I can get hold of you. Gave her my number, hoping I wasn't about to end up crossing any borders with 5 kilos of counterfeit electronics hidden in my clothes, because I knew I'd be too awkward to say no to that. Great. I'll give you a call when I need you. I prefer it to texting. Easier to shout. And don't try to get away from free. I have a taser. Haha. She put her hand out for a handshake. I guess she wanted to seal the deal. I limply shook it with my puny little arm. Sure. Thanks for the crowbar, I guess. I'll see you soon? Let's click this button. Before anything bad happens. I left the shop armed with a crowbar, reflecting on how I seem to operate entirely on a favor-based system these days. Oh well, I thought. It was cheap. I was pretty hungry, and as I walked through town, my eyes were drawn to a small shop called Greg's Bakery. The shop had a charmingly decorated exterior, albeit a little cutesy for my taste. I gazed at the food on display in the window, and I'm pretty sure I drooled on myself. It looked really good. I really needed some sugar. Hi! Welcome to Greg's Bakery. I'm Greg, and this is my bakery. Greg has sharp fangs like a bat, which is nice, though obviously that isn't important. Oh, hey, I'm here to eat cakes. You sell cakes? I don't know why I asked that. I knew they sold cakes. I'd just been drooling over their display. Oh, sure we do. Make them fresh every day. Do any catch your eye? You decide you don't want a cake, have plenty of other pastries and treats for you. An ice bun, a pizza slice, a donut, vegetable rolls, a bag of sprinkles. The choice is yours, my friend. They seem nice, albeit slightly hyperactive. But I kinda suck at buying food, especially when there's so much choice, so I was glad to hear the door loudly open behind me and distract Greg. Hiya, Bill. Usual? You betcha, hon. How's work going? Gang's all here. Great, thanks. It's been a quiet day so far, but now I have 2 customers at once. Exciting, huh? What was it you wanted me to get you? They were looking at me. I still hadn't decided what I wanted. I've been cut off from another milk delivery route, Greg. Can you believe it? What? No way. Another one? How come? The distraction gave me a chance to pick something. My eyes scanned across the cakes desperately trying to choose one. My old manager left a few weeks back. The new one's, semi-competent? He noticed it was taking me the entire day to do the morning run, and that they were paying me to deliver to empty buildings. I was like, no way, my contract says I have to. But he read my contract, and it doesn't. Contract excuse had worked flawlessly for like 4 years, so I had no backup plan. So yep, I'm just delivering to North Acres since they refuse to let us deliver via drone like we do everywhere else now. I'm almost obsolete. Good job, those NIMBYs are keeping me in a job for a little longer. Oh no, North Acres. I've heard bad things about that place. They aren't too keen on outsiders. What a sucky situation. Ah heck, have your food on me. I placed Belle's order on the counter and canceled the payment. 2 large coffees and 4 vegetable sausage rolls. A pretty impressive lunch. Ah, you're too kind, hon. I'll make it up to you. North Acres ain't so bad. I just ignored the locals and don't hang around. I think she must have noticed me staring at the cake slack-jawed. Oops. Sorry for pushing in, hon. I'm not used to there being other people here. It's pretty quiet most days. No, I'm sorry I got distracted. What was it you wanted? I remember turning to look at them wide-eyed in fear. Oh, cake or donut? How about a cake? I wanted to try one of the iced cakes with the cherry on top. They looked really nice. Cake. I chapped a finger meekly at a random cupcake. 1 triple chocolate muffin coming right up. This wasn't going to plan. They picked up the muffin with some tongs and slid it into a paper bag. Any other cakes, drinks, or savories? A cheese bake, maybe? I'll get another muffin, please? Great choice. Belle was looking at me, munching on one of her rolls. She seemed amused by my inability to buy cakes. I don't think I've seen you around town before. What's your name, hon? Oh, I'm Trixie. Trixie Glimmersmith. I only moved here a few months back, and I don't get out much. Nice to meet you, Trixie. Name's Belle. She stepped forward with her arm outstretched, and I shook her hoof. It was real clunky and awkward since she didn't have fingers. Hope this ain't too presumptuous. If you're looking to make some friends here, you're always welcome to come down to the Attic Mouse. Bar just around the corner. It's always nice to make some new pals, you know? Especially if you're new to the area. I sometimes go with Belle, but I've been too busy with the bakery recently. Everyone there is super nice, very gay too, so you can just be yourself. I guess we're lucky to live in the queerest town in the country. I mean, not officially sure, but heck, you try finding someone here who isn't queer. They had a point. Everyone I'd met here was pretty fucking gay. Oh, thanks for the invite. I'm not too good with the social stuff, though. That's fair. You're always welcome to come along, though, huh? Just thought it'd be nice to let you know there's somewhere you can go if you need it, you know? Realized it was getting late and I still had to walk back to the cottage. Crap, I gotta go. Sorry. Dropped some coins on the counter and ran out of the bakery. I hope I paid enough. I don't think she did. I heard the pair say bye behind me. They both seemed kinda nice, albeit a little scary. I had to take a short break to recover from gorging on about 5,000 calories of muffin, but I eventually reached the abandoned cottage at the end of Daffodil Lane. I managed to pry the front door open with the crowbar, which was tough given my complete lack of muscle mass. Regardless, I got the door open and tossed the crowbar away. My weak little arms couldn't carry it anymore. Without waiting, I stepped through the dingy portal. I was immediately hit by a wall of stale air and decay. Ah! This place is disgusting. I flicked my torch on and finally realized it had no batteries. Frustrated, I chucked it on the floor. Litter bug. I'd have to rely on my eyesight, which had rapidly been deteriorating since I started staying up till 5 AM using my laptop screen as my only light source. Not that it was great to begin with, given my condition. Building was dim, with few shafts of lights piercing the boarded windows. What looked like a basement door was slightly ajar. A cold and unpleasant stench seemed to crawl from it. I wanted to spend as little time in this place as possible. I decided to take a look around the ground floor before heading downstairs. I stepped into what seemed to be the kitchen. Water dripped from the wooden ceiling into the sink, which was close to overflowing. The water was dark and still. A few tufts of wool floated on the surface, stained a dirty brown. A gross smell seeped into the room from the pantry. I carefully pried it open and was relieved to not find any dead bodies. Instead, I found a small garden's worth of decomposing grass melting into a pool of green, frothy liquid. Oh, gross, what? Who would keep grass in their pantry? I poked around in the pantry, trying to uncover anything else that might be hidden. At the very back, buried under some of the decaying grass, I found a tin of pineapple rings. The best before date was over 2 decades ago. The front depicted a happy pineapple mascot. "Eat me," he said. Sorry, happy pineapple abomination, but I don't think I should. Besides, I don't have a can opener. The bedroom was evidently plainly decorated years ago, but was now completely derelict. A bookshelf stood against one of the walls, but it was almost completely empty. The only books remaining were Manners for Girls and 7 Plants I Saw, an Adventure Story. I decided not to read them. Like the kitchen, the window here had been boarded up, though I noticed that the planks seemed to have been taken from the bed's frame, given that the mattress slumped onto the floor. A pile of tools on the floor looked like the likely culprits for the renovations to this place's windows. I noted one of the tools was a sturdy crowbar. I went to all that trouble getting a crowbar when I could have just broken in here and got one for free. The tools looked old, but judging by their relative cleanliness, appeared to have been used recently. Next to the bed was a small dresser, and on top of that, a picture frame. I wiped the dust away from the photograph to reveal a woman probably in her 40s. The photograph itself had that old-fashioned faded look to it, and her hair looked very 80s. I guess this lady must have lived here before abandoning the cottage. It doesn't look like she properly packed when she left, though, given that a load of her stuff seems to be here. There was a loud groan from upstairs, the settling of the cottage's timber frame, I told myself. Regardless, it gave me a scare. Ugh, this place has me really on edge. Let's hurry this up. The bathroom window was broken, and one of the boards seemed to have fallen off. A black feather was snagged on one of the nails still left in the frame. The water tank that was probably meant to be above the toilet had fallen down, littering the floor with smashed ceramic shards and leaving a moldy damp patch spreading from the toilet's gutted remains. The bottom few inches of the bathtub were stained brown, as if it had been full of rancid water for some time before being emptied. The plug hole was matted with wool, almost like a spider web. Oh, this is nasty. What's wrong with this place? No wonder it smells like... I was cut off as the house groaned as if settling. Only then did I realize how weak the floor seemed to be in this room, and I stepped back. I had no intention of falling through into whatever waited for me in the basement. Returned to the living room where I first entered the house. I hadn't really looked around it when I first got here. It was totally trashed. The furniture was a mess, the floor was covered in junk, and some water appeared to drip down from the attic onto the sofa, which was coated in white mold. What looked like blood stained the floor and seeped into the musty sofa. It couldn't be more than a month or two old. This isn't good. Hopefully someone just had a minor accident, which made them lose about 4 liters of blood. It's old, though. I'm sure any murderer who lived here would have left ages ago. The smell probably drove them off. I stepped a little further into the room and almost tripped over something. A video game cartridge? It didn't look as dusty or decrepit as the rest of the house, and definitely wasn't old enough to be from the previous owners. Some brown hairs and white wool blocked the pins, and the image printed on the front was scratched but still readable. Gunshoot 4. Nice. I really enjoyed Gunshoot 3. Don't take the moldy cartridge. Trixie, please, you have to be better than this. The cartridge looked kind of sticky and nasty, and this cottage wasn't exactly clean. I decided to leave it there and avoid the potential tetanus. On the ceiling, a small trapdoor led to the attic, but there didn't seem to be any way up to it. I only now noticed the harsh carvings had been dug into the wall and inlaid with golden paint. Dozens of identical eyes had been watching me. I found myself drawn to them. The house suddenly shuddered, and I almost collapsed. Ah! I regained my footing. Thankfully, the house had remained standing. I realized I stood directly in front of the scrawlings, mere inches from the largest of the eyes. That's strange. I'm sure I was at the other side of this room when I noticed this mess. I must have stumbled over here when the house shook without realizing it. I stepped back and turned away from the drawings, deciding to avoid them for now. There didn't seem to be much more to see on the ground floor, and I still hadn't found that book. There was only one thing for it. I'd have to go in the dark, dingy basement. I forced the door open on its rusted hinges and made my way back down the stone stairs. The decaying air grew worse with each step. Yeah, this better not take long. The air in this place is probably cutting years off my life. The stairs emerged into a large basement, almost as big as the entire ground floor. My eyes were immediately drawn to the horrific scene at the center of the room. Ah! What is this? Are those... 2 skulls were positioned around the chipped remains of some kind of symbol etched into the floor. The skull's hollow eyes stared right at me. I stepped away from the grisly scene in shock, thankfully not tripping in the process. But then I blinked and realized the skulls were facing away from me. My eyes must have been playing tricks. Oh, this is messed up. I better look around quickly. I really don't want to stay here much longer. She's very determined. After a closer examination, it was clear that the skulls belonged to a pair of squirrels. Oh gosh. So much for LaRose's Pacific Cruise theory. These both seem adult-sized though, which means the girl is missing. Hopefully I don't find her here. The skulls were undamaged, with no indication of how their owners may have died. Strangely, I don't recall having seen any other bones around the cottage. I decided to leave them to their rest. Not that I'd been brave enough to do anything other than nervously stare at them from a distance anyway. With the most obvious thing in the room thoroughly examined, I took a look at the rest of the basement. This whole room looked like something from one of those trashy horror stories I'd read. It was uncanny. Part of me hoped this was just the setting of a really well-decorated LARP, but I felt pretty sure that was wishful thinking. The basement was littered with black and white feathers. It looked like a bird had been in a fight, but with who? Probably the most out-of-place thing in this murder basement was the small collection of dry cake crumbs scattered across the floor. Despite there being only a slither of cake left, I felt my stomach tighten. A deep and primal part of me knew it was a bad cake, Trixie. I took a closer look at the symbol. It was etched into the stone with some kind of tool and gilded with golden paint. It depicted one of the eyes I had seen painted upstairs. It was no less unnerving here, especially given the rest of the room. I think it's time to get out of here. Okay, so I know so far it looks like I spent all week running errands and stuff, but trust me, I have my reasons, as I hope you will soon agree. This is where things get a little hard to recall, but I'll do my best in the interest of proving why I'm going to need a few weeks extra to finish my coursework. Thanks for reading this far, by the way, faculty admin team. I appreciate it, thanks! There was a loud screech, and the cottage above me started to shake and creak. I heard a long groan as the basement door shut. Oop. Missed him. Oh, no we didn't. It was just an expression. The cottage continued to shudder. I could hear furniture topple over and slam against the walls above me. I need to get out of here. Before I could make a move, whips of golden mist curled around the two skulls. They jerked around to face me before lifting off the ground as if pulled by puppet strings. No! The floating bones remained motionless in the air, their eye sockets boring deep into me. Stolen, released beyond, betrayal, cloud waves, Carcosa. The skulls called into my mind a rasping voice that felt as if it is coming from within my own thoughts. Upstairs, the cottage continued to shake, the sound drowning out even my breathing, but the voice remained clear. The rabbit, betrayal, how, blue starlight, Carcosa. Carcosa, the dread city trapped forever under the red skies of Hades, the stolen crown jewel of a long-forgotten empire. The setting of the King in Yellow, that much I knew. If the play was anywhere, it would be here. That was hardly at the forefront of my mind at this point. A spire, broken body, Carcosa. What are you? I am the abomination, the malformed stock, the accursed meat, filthy, unclean. Trapped, Carcosa, the ashen streets, the dying slumber beneath the lake, forever and yet free. Please, I didn't mean to disturb you. My friend made me come here. She wants to play the King in Yellow. At the mention of the King in Yellow, the skulls imploded with a loud crack. The eye sockets split. The craniums almost appeared to collapse into themselves. I stumbled backwards, almost falling as shards of bone and tooth rattled onto the stone floor. The cursed play, stolen. The monochrome prophet, the broken royal, they had it, stolen. A new owner for the play, found. Trapped, Carcosa, forever and yet I walk again. We will meet again, small white rat. Skulls dropped to the floor with a loud crash. The golden glow dissipated, and as the room fell silent, I could feel myself toppling towards the cold floor as my mind disconnected. My eyes slowly opened. A feeling of grogginess and nausea had taken over my body. I felt my mind spin. I could make out grass fluttering gently in the breeze. I looked up. A sheep gazed down at me as she chewed on some grass. As I stirred, she wandered off and left me be. I took some time to properly come to, but I soon realized I was crumpled in the sheep field on Daffodil Lane. The moon cast white rays across me, and I wondered how long I had been there. Ugh. What happened? It was here I slowly started to remember my time in the cottage, the decaying rooms, the black and white feathers, the strange symbols, the blood, and the two skulls speaking into my mind fuzz. How much of that actually happened? My eyes slowly started to focus on the grass beside me. There was a box of some kind. What was it? I squinted at it. Whatever it was wrapped in a shiny yellow skin. I reached a weak hand over to it and ran it across the top of the box. My suspicion was confirmed. It was snakeskin. My hand curled around the back of the box and felt paper. It was a book. I grabbed it and pulled it above my eyes where I could see it. Embossed in black amongst the yellow scales was the title, The King in Yellow. I stared at the playbook. How had it gotten there? It was held shut by a golden ribbon, but would take only a second to undo it. I started to reach for it, my fingers feeling the soft silk. Suddenly, a bird screeched a horrid caw. I jumped, almost dropping the book on my face. Far away, sat in the big jeweled tree, a strange, mangy-looking magpie stared at me. I thought of the feathers in the basement. It was hard to tell at this distance, but it seemed to be staring right at me, its wide eyes reflecting white moonlight like mirrors. I was about to shout over at it, but it took off and flapped away into the darkness of the night. I lay in the field a while longer and watched the woolly sheep munch on the grass, the king in yellow held tightly against my chest. Eventually, I managed to pull myself up and started the long trek back to my room. I messaged Nikita and told her to meet me in the morning. She was still awake, presumably working on her campaign. She seemed pretty set on retrieving the king in yellow right then, but when I told her I wasn't going to get back out of bed, she begrudgingly agreed to wait. I shoved the play into my bag and turned my phone off, eventually settling into a disturbed sleep. My dreams were dark and confused. Me and Belle ran through a dark forest. Something terrible followed us. I could feel its eyes boring into my back. I screamed and stopped. In front of me was a steep cliffside. Belle plummeted off into the darkness below. Far across the gap was another cliff edge. I saw myself stood there looking out at me. A dark figure moved through the woods towards my twin, and with terror I realized I was looking into a mirror. I spun around to face my assailant and found myself facing a gray, blasted landscape. At the center was a circular pool of black water. Belle stood at the center of the pool on top of the water. She faced away from me. A flood of black water rose up from the pit to engulf us. I was blinded by it until a bright light tore through the inky darkness. The scene collapsed into itself, and I stood in the abandoned basement. I saw myself as a skeleton, a golden glow surrounding me as I turned to dust and cackled maniacally. The horrible dirty bird looked down at me from top of a withered tree with branches like tangled thorns. It opened its beak to caw at me, but no sound came out. The bird broke into wisps of cloud vapor and dissolved into the dark night. I looked down, and in my hands was the king in yellow. The bird's caw finally sounded, and I looked up. Where was once the tree was now a misty shoreline. In front of me was a spire of gleaming ivory, but before my eyes I saw it rot and decay. Behind the terrible city was a great moon. Mist deep dripped from it as it emerged from a lake of cloud. Black stars of the hyads hung above me, pinpricks of oil in the red sky. Watching me from across leagues of rolling white waves stood the solitary figure of the king in yellow. He seemed to travel towards me, closer and closer as his tattered wrappings flapped in the wind. His long, bony arms stretched to remove the pallid mask, and I knew I had found myself on the path to a truly terrible fate. I woke up. It was 9 a.m., several hours earlier than I'd normally wake up, but after that nightmare, I was glad to be conscious. Nikita liked to tell me off for waking up so late, so I assumed she wouldn't be expecting me awake for a few hours. My head still felt stuffy, so I decided to walk around the university grounds and get some air. Alright. I need to get me some more water here. I will be right back in just a few minutes. Stick around. Okay, welcome back. It was a pleasant morning. A gentle wind blew softly on my weary eyes, a welcome break from the heat wave. Still, it seemed like it was going to be another warm summer day. Unfortunate. It was the last thing I needed with my albinism. I'd have to put a lot of sun shampoo on my fur. The uni campus was really nice, albeit a little old-fashioned. It looked like somewhere that would be haunted, and actually was, albeit only by the occasional gaunt-looking PhD student. Not that I was complaining. Whether my experience in the basement was real or not, I'd had quite enough of ghosts for now. I walked past the old clock tower, and it would have looked a lot more impressive if it wasn't broken. Don't know why you don't replace it with a digital one or something. Although obviously I'm aware that it isn't really your department. That was an attack on you, faculty admins. Below that was an old statue of the university's founder, E.H. Lovecraft. He was a speciesist dickhead, but now he's just dead. I stopped. I'd found one of Nikita's student presidency posters. It was pretty daunting, though on the plus side, she changed her slogan to something slightly less fascist. Nikita is your future. Prepare for it. Although in retrospect, that might have been worse. There was a box of leaflets under it. Nikita was certainly prepared for next year's election. It was almost a shame the caretakers would probably take this stuff down by next week. Kinda wanted to take a look at one of the leaflets, if just out of morbid curiosity. Please do. Bluebell University Student Union Presidency Election 2019. Nikita, a manifesto for a stronger world. Bluebell University, once the 9th highest rated university in the country, now a decaying, ruined institution sitting at a lowly 11th. The student body has become lazy, undisciplined, and led astray by bad leadership, poor facilities, and social societies. But I shall change this. I shall make us strong. Who am I? I am Nikita. I am the top student on the regional history and cultural... Boy, I'm butchering this one. I am Nikita. I am the top student on the regional history and culture studies course here at our prestigious university. I shall one day be our greatest student union president. This, fellow students, is my promise to you. My enemy candidates may be many, but I assure you all, among them my equals are none. Tabitha Knight especially is a try-hard bitch and will not save us from our collapse. My 5-point plan for a stronger world. 1. The library must be expanded and opened eternally so that our minds too may expand. Only through knowledge can we take our rightful place in the world. 2. Too much of the university's budget is spent on frivolous activities, parties, societies, and trips to name but a few. This must be diverted to improve our facilities. 3. The union has many worthless delegates. The sports officer, the societies officer, and the administrative team, among others. These positions should be dissolved. All power must flow to the executive. 4. The student union president should be made a permanent position, lest future presidents veer from my vision and lead us back into the abyss. 5. We need to fix the vending machine outside Wilbur Hall. It no longer properly dispenses toffee millet bars. Thank you for your time, and remember, a vote for my enemies is a vote for your own destruction. Geez, Nikita has issues. I toss the leaflet back into its box. I eventually got back to my room and took a quick shower, making sure to cover myself in sun shampoo. I was really lucky to not get burnt yesterday given how long I was out. Maybe the spores from that cottage rejuvenated skin and left a healthy glow on your fur. Though, looking at my gaunt, tired face in the mirror, I doubted it. I finally got around to cleaning up the cereal I spilled yesterday. Better late than never, I guess. I ended up just fucking about on my laptop to keep my mind off of things while I waited for Nikita. There was a sudden knock at my door. Trixie Glimmer Smith, stop writing weird monster erotica and open up. I slammed my laptop shut. I still don't know if she was spying on me or it was a lucky guess. That's a good joke. Coming. I threw some old underwear behind my bed in a vain attempt to seem less disgusting and lurched over to the door. I opened it up and Nikita marched into my room, almost knocking me over. Jeez. Hi, Nikita. You have the book? Nice to see you too. Cut the crap, Trixie. Where's the play? Fine, whatever. But look, we need to talk about some stuff, okay? Some weird shit happened when I was finding this. Rummaged around in my bag for the book, eventually pulling out the scaled yellow tome. Wow. It's really real. For once, Nikita seemed almost speechless. She walked over to me, seemingly unable to wait to get a hold of it. I handed it over, but part of me wanted to keep it for myself, if just for its value. Nikita was about to undo the ribbon and leaf through its pages, but I put my hand on it, stopping her. She shot me an angry look and almost pulled away. Nikita, seriously, we need to talk. I told her everything I remembered about yesterday. My time exploring Daffodil Lane, the missing squirrels, the abandoned cottage, the skulls of the ghost waking up in the field. I told her I didn't even know where the play had come from. Nikita, I think we need to talk to someone. The police, maybe? There were skulls in that basement. This isn't just some silly thing. Trixie, those skulls were obviously props. You said yourself there's an artist on that road. They always do weird shit like that. And no offense, but the options here are either 1. You saw a ghost, or 2. You, the person who reads ghost porn all day, were sleep deprived, dehydrated, overheating, and breathing mold spores and imagined a ghost when you saw some spooky props. And then you forgot half the day and fainted in a field after finding the play in the cottage. It was a good point, but I still felt unsure. Now, one of the only things I remember about playing this game is that actually it is very funny if you try to call the police. No, shut up, Nikita. There were real skulls in that place. I'm phoning the police. I just won't mention the weird stuff. This is serious. It's more important than some dumb story. Nikita's lip visibly curled when I described the King in Yellow as a dumb story. Fine, whatever. Phone the police, but when you get arrested for breaking and entering, don't cry to me on the phone from your jail cell. I was pretty certain she was bluffing. I wouldn't get in trouble for that, right? Dialed the number for the police on my phone, and after a brief wait, an operator picked up. Hi, yes, I'd like to report a, suspicious house on Daffodil Lane? A creepy one, yeah, by the woods. Uh-huh. Right. I mean, there were skulls in it. Yeah. No, skulls. I saw some blood, too. What, seriously? Of course you have the budget to investigate. You're like the police. It might be important. What about those missing squirrels that live literally 50 feet away? Uh-huh. Right. See, this is why no one like... Oh. They'd hung up. Looked back to Nikita. Her expression was as sour as it had been when I started, but she seemed significantly smugger. Apparently they don't have the budget to reinvestigate the squirrels, and they wrote off the abandoned cottage off because no one could live in a place with air that full of hallucinogenic spores. I paused for a moment, considering how that could explain the ghost. which doesn't make me feel great about breathing it in for so long yesterday. There, I told you it was pointless. Now, just keep it to yourself and I'll help you with your coursework again. Once I finish reading the play, naturally. Is that a deal, Smith? Felt wrong for not trying harder to get the police to check out that cottage. I knew it was selfish of me to ignore what might have been a huge deal, but I needed Nikita's help. I couldn't face the idea of going back to my parents after fucking up my education and not talking to them for months. I let out an audible sigh. Whatever, as long as we're even now. Of course we are, I never lie. I wasn't sure I believed that. Well, I'm off to read this. I do appreciate your service, Trixie, as much as I hate to admit it. I'll draft your coursework for you in a day or two. You have to finish it yourself, though. I'm not your mother. Nikita was being uncharacteristically nice. Maybe she was warming up to me? Anyway, you should get some sleep. You look like shit. Or not, I thought, as Nikita marched out of my room, the king in yellow clutched tightly against her chest. Thanks, Nikita. I stumbled back into my bed. Nikita was exhausting. A buzzing woke me up a few hours later. Someone was calling me. I was groggy and confused, so no difference from normal. I reached for my phone, and through my blurry eyes, I could make out Heidi's name on the screen. Hey, you owe me a job. I stopped when a bit of drool fell out of my mouth. I've never been good with naps. I need you to come at my shop at like 5 today. Don't bug out now. You owe me for that crowbar, remember? Yeah, it's a lot of setup, but the play is finally here. The spooky things are now happening. The horror has begun. Or the hallucinogenic spores, depending on who you want to believe here. Given your obviously bullshit explanation, you don't want anyone to find out you were blatantly breaking and entering some poor innocent's house, right? She had seen through my lie. Great. Though it definitely wasn't an innocent house, I didn't really want to explain that to her. Hey, no, rude. It was for urban exploration, actually. Oh, right, sorry. I just assumed since you were lying, you were off to rob someone or something. Look, I just need your help, okay? You promise. I did owe her, and it wasn't like I had anything else to do. Besides, it would be good to get outside and distract myself for a while, even if I should have been working on my report. Okay, I'll help. I'm uncultured, and I hadn't actually heard of the King in Yellow until this game. This was my introduction to the concept. Never knew about it. And I think even honestly, after I played this, I still was like unaware of it, like being a real thing and not just like, oh yeah, I made up a little play. I think it was when Will did his ZZT, the King in Yellow Borders game, that I was like, okay, this is a thing people are aware of. Smarter people than me know what this is, but I sure didn't. Okay, I'll help. Good. My shop at... Didn't she say 5? My shop at 7. Don't be late. I have a taser. She really likes that thing. Oh, okay. Everyone is so rude to me. I curled back up in bed. I was still pretty tired. I had half a day to kill until Heidi needed me. I didn't want to sit here stewing on my own thoughts all day. Yesterday had fucked me up pretty badly, whether I wanted to show it or not. I found a coupon for a free bottle of sugar rabies in my sock drawer a few weeks back, so I figured since I had nothing else to do, I could head to town and use it. Sorry, I need to hydrate. There's a lot of reading in this game, as it turns out. These visual novels. Anyway, the shopkeeper let slip that the only reason Sugar Corp was giving away the stuff for free was because anyone who drank a can lost an average of 3 teeth, so no one was buying it anymore. I guess they were hoping people would risk a bottle for free and ended up hooked on its dubiously legal chemicals? I knew better than to wrangle with that, since I don't have that many teeth, being a rat and all. Fucking capitalists. My phone's clock said it was almost midday, and I hadn't really eaten yet. I figured I'd combine breakfast and lunch. Decided to call this new meal Lunchfest. My thoughts were cut off when a familiar figure tapped on the window next to me. I recognized Greg, the small sugar glider from yesterday. I'd wandered past their bakery without realizing it. Guess my subconscious was telling me to get Lunchfest at Greg's. Part of me thought that they may be lacing their cakes with some kind of addictive substance, because I really wanted more sweet stuff. Hi, Greg. Hey, Trixie! Are you here for some tasty treats? Yeah, I guess so. Looked around at the selection. The triple chocolate muffin I'd eaten yesterday had been really nice. I did kind of want to try something new, though. I don't think she would order a vegetable roll, but I don't want to order another chocolate muffin. A vegetable roll would be nice. I need to keep an eye on my sugar intake. All my vegetable rolls come with a triple chocolate. There was a triple chocolate muffin involved. Yes! Greg scurried back behind the counter and placed the food into a little paper bag. Fortunately, I remembered to bring my wallet today. It's nice to see you again. Sorry the bakery was so busy yesterday. I could see it was making you anxious. It's a lot calmer today. The fact that 2 customers was considered busy made me feel slightly bad for Greg. Was the bakery not doing well? Oh, no problem. Sorry for being weird yesterday. It was kinda hot. I had already fainted once, and I get anxious about buying stuff. Greg laughed sympathetically. Oh no, I hope you're feeling better today. Here, have a bottle of water on the house. That should stop you from fainting again. Felt bad accepting something for free given my suspicions about Greg's financial situation. Oh, no, that's okay, I'll live. No hiking in the sun for me today. Okay, well, the offer's there. I wouldn't want any of my friends fainting. Their friendliness almost reminded me of Parsnip, though thankfully Greg seemed to be capable of conversations and had an actual personality. You seem to like cakes, Trixie. Do you make any yourself? I shook my head. I don't really do much baking, or cooking in general, really. I basically just eat snacks and drink energy drinks. I probably have 4 years left to live. Oh no, I hope not. They giggled. Don't you like cooking? I don't mind cooking, but I have kind of a short attention span, so my food usually ends up burnt. That was a slight understatement. The fire brigade had been called twice since I started uni, thanks to me. I used to bake bread with my parents when I was younger, but we just kind of stopped at some point when I got older. Aw, that's sad. I used to bake with my dad a lot, and it was really fun. It's probably why I ended up being a baker. You know, I could always use some help here. I could teach you to bake treats. It was a really kind offer. I did want to learn baking, even if it was just another way to fuel my sugar addiction. God, same. Oh geez, that's really kind. I feel like I just waste your time, though. I'm a bit of a fuck-up, and you probably don't need that when you're already having money trailed off. Greg seemed to see where I was going. I was worried I'd upset them, but they seemed to hide it. If you don't feel up to it, don't worry. I know tomorrow morning probably won't be very busy, though, so feel free to come along if you change your mind. I did like the idea, and Greg was really sweet. Thanks, Greg. I'll think about it. Sorry, I'm kind of a mess right now. It's been a tough few days. Weeks. Years. No worries. Just let me know if you're coming along. Would you like my number? I'll talk some more. I'd talk some more, but I have to make a delivery in a few minutes. They motioned towards a wedding cake. A lovely icing statue of two cute mice girls kissing sat on the top. Oh, sure, yeah. Greg passed me a business card. Great, thanks, Trixie. I better close up. See you soon. See ya, Greg. I waved goodbye and left the bakery munching on my food. I expected Belle would be at the Attic Mouse bar down the road, and I figured I may as well give her a visit to waste some time before I met Heidi later, if just to show I wasn't ignoring her offer. The Attic Mouse had a warm, friendly atmosphere, and I was relieved to see their drinks were super cheap. By bar standards, at least. I walked inside and found it was pretty quiet. Understandable, really, given the time of day. Belle was sat in a corner by herself with several glasses of alcohol in front of her. I'm not really into alcohol, so I dropped a 10 on the bar to pay for my pint of cola and walked over to her. Hey. Hey, Trixie. Nice to see you came along. Sadly, no one else has. Ah, well, we pre-ordered the drink, so more for me, I guess. You downed one of her shots. No, I mean, I'm not good with groups anyway. Do a lot of people usually show up? Well, there's Greg, who you've met. My pal LaRose, an artist down Daffodil Lane Way. Wait, I know LaRose. The tall rabbit, right? Huh, no way. Nice lady. She hasn't turned up recently, though. She's, well, she ain't been feeling great recently. Hard for her to find the energy to hang out, you know? It's also Heidi. She's cool. A little scary, but a great gal. She runs a shop here in town. Yeah, I, met her yesterday, too. She's more than a little scary, though. She's all bark and no bite. Doesn't get on so well with LaRose. They almost ended up glassing each other out a few weeks back when Heidi said neo-punk biker art was better than neo-punk bohemian art. Those are fighting words. I don't know what either of those are, so I didn't think it was my place to mediate, you know? Jeez. It's weird how I met literally all of you by chance yesterday. That is weird. We all know each other, and now we all know you too. Took another sip of her drink. I copied her and sipped my cola. I felt a little awkward and just ended up staring at the TV in the corner for a bit. The Prime Minister was giving a speech about sheepsit. It's a very timely game, as you can tell. I rolled my eyes. I was getting pretty tired of hearing about it non-stop for the last 2 years. This is getting ridiculous. Even the Northwest Union, just because of the official sheep mascot, bit the Prime Minister's 4-year-old. It's so petty. Exactly. If she didn't want her kid getting bit, she shouldn't have let her roll around in the grass and then go pet a sheep. We both shook our heads and tutted. So you're like a milkwoman, right? That sounds kind of fun, driving around and seeing places all over. I don't get out much, so... it sucks. Oh. Not much traveling either anymore, I'm afraid. Oh, of course. When you were talking to Greg yesterday, you said you only go to North Acres now, right? North Acres, yeah. Nasty place. What? She squinted at me quizzically. Oh, it's just like, I study local history and stuff. North Acres is meant to be really good for that, right? It's kind of old-fashioned and remote, despite only being a few miles from town. I wanted to take a look around there, but it's kind of hard to get to. Couldn't find any buses that go that way, and no way am I paying for a taxi. Yeah, they shoot down every proposal for a bus route. I think I might be the only outside interaction they get, besides the postman. They're a weird lot. I try not to spend too much time there. She shrugged and took another drink. But hey, if you want to have a peep around there, you're welcome to come along tomorrow morning. Oh wow, I mean, if it isn't an issue? Not at all. I could use the company. Not much to do on the job, and the boss says if he catches me reading magazines at the wheel again, he'll fire me. Belle's phone buzzed. She took a look at it and sighed. Speaking of the great dictator, gotta get going. Apparently the sheep escaped from Daffodil Lane. Probably that kid opening the gate because it looked sad being closed again. She shook her head and downed the rest of her drink. I suspected I knew who she was talking about. Oh no. I better stick around. I still have some stuff to do in town. Well, feel free to shoot me a message tomorrow morning if you're up for a really dull adventure. She chuckled and added her number to my phone. Oh, everyone really wants to hang out with me. If this were a lame dating game, I'd assume they wanted to get in my pants. Fortunately, I keep my life very PG. I wasn't sure how much I believed that, given recent events, but the slight hope that nothing involving Nikita and her stupid play would escalate beyond comic mischief and some rude language was reassuring. I don't play enough video games to get that joke, but sure. I hadn't meant to say that out loud. Anyway, I better get going. See you around, Trix. He strolled off as calm as ever. I finished my drink and sat around for a while. Glad today had been full of distractions. I still wasn't ready to think about yesterday's events. Eventually, I knew it was time to head to Heidi's. I didn't want to be late. She apparently had a taser. I have to admit, I was slacking on my way to Heidi's shop. Drinking a pint of cola right before walking wasn't a great decision on my part. Sorry, I'm late. I'm here now. Please don't tase me. Ah, Trixie, I was about to call you. Good, thank you for coming. I was worried you might be a deal breaker. And then I would have had to tase you. I don't think that was a joke. Why do you have a taser anyway? Is that even legal? Probably. It's for self-defense, right? In good company on lonely nights. Okay, enough fucking around. We got a bit of work to do. She bundled me into her office. It was pretty small and completely cluttered with cardboard boxes. Okay, Trixie, you're gonna help me with my side business, spring cleaning. I'm gonna go through these boxes and sort the junk into these two other much bigger boxes. This is the stuff to be burned box. She kicked a generic wooden crate soaked in petrol. I chose not to question her health and safety practices and just tried to avoid breathing too much. And this is the stuff that might actually be worth money box. He tapped a sturdy metal safe. Okay, so what kind of stuff are we sorting through? Like, extra stock or what? Just like old antiques and books. Nothing too important. Let's just get on with it, okay? I want to close on time. Dropped a cardboard box full of junk onto the desk in front of me. Started rooting around in it and found it was full of trash, mostly dusty books falling apart at the seams and broken old antiques. But the more I looked, the more it became clear that some of this stuff might actually be valuable. I pulled a golden bracelet out of the box and blew the dust off of it. Engraved onto it was a strange fish-like face with a single opal eye that seemed to stare at me. Jeez, how much money do you make selling this stuff? Heck, where do you even get this stuff from in the first place? This looks expensive. Heidi shot me an annoyed look. Don't question it. Though a lot and illegally, got it. I chuckled to myself. Heidi seemed unamused. I carefully put the bracelet into the safe. As I sorted through the box, it became pretty clear there was a theme to Heidi's stuff. It was in some way arcane. Old magic books, spooky scrolls, and even what seemed to be occult apparel like the bracelet I'd found earlier. Heidi, do you believe in any of this stuff? Monsters and magic, I mean? She looked at me for a moment, somewhat puzzled. Of course not. I've never seen any monsters or magic. But like, don't you ever get tempted to try out any of the spells in these books? I opened up one of the thick, dusty tomes and skimmed through it looking for an example. Before I could read anything, Heidi slammed it shut on my fingers. Hey, ow! Okay, new rule. You don't look at anything for any longer than it takes to work out if it's value. Got it? I nodded. No, I don't believe in this stuff, but... Look, I'd like to keep it that way, okay? I've met people who like this crap, and it messes with their heads. This stuff is best left ignored, okay? Ignorance is bliss. She got back to work. I envied her lack of belief. I hoped with enough time my brain can fully convince me that what I saw the night before was just a heat dehydration and spore-fueled hallucination. But I think even then I knew the truth. Heidi seemed to know that we were only inches from madness and intended to never test that distance. We sorted through the boxes for a while. Most of the stuff was pretty uninteresting, but a few things caught my eye. Copper amulet, a shard of amber with a strange ancient bug frozen inside of it, some long-distant ancestor to a modern bee, perhaps? A manuscript detailing a ritual to summon rain? And at one point, a Dungeons and Fungions rulebook, Heidi's name on it, which was quickly grabbed off of me and stuffed into Heidi's desk drawer. I was getting pretty bored, so some of this stuff looked really interesting, but I knew Heidi would snap at me if I tried to look into any of it. Fortunately, there was a sound outside. Someone had walked into the shop. Heidi slinked over to the peephole in her office door suspiciously. Ah, it's a customer. Trixie, you take care of this stuff. I'll go deal with this schmuck. She walked into the shop, snapping at the customer for looking at something too strangely before the door closed behind her. I picked up one of the last items in the box. A small book titled Spiral Speeches of the Star Gods. Hey Zen. You're just in time for the last 10 to 15 minutes, as long as my voice continues to function, which it's really starting to not. I should have thought twice about doing a visual novel. Let's read the book. It can't be any more cursed than the previous book. Decided to use this chance and flick through the remnants of the book. Spiral Speeches of the Star Gods. Across the world, hundreds of tablets etched with identical spirals had been uncovered by archaeological digs. Thanks to bird mythology, these are popularly known as the Star God Tablets. Though there has been much speculation around these strange artifacts, and the most obvious origin is clearly the humble sheep. Famously, every sheep has a near-identical spiral on their right front hoof, a strange evolutionary quirk. These exactly match the spirals seen in the supposed Star God tablets. As the Star Gods are without a doubt entirely fictitious, the most obvious conclusion is that ancient societies would use sheep to produce this strange art. Most likely these etchings were painted when originally created, but any evidence of this has long since faded with time. Of course, some old bird legends would suggest that sheep created these themselves by pressing their feet into wet clay and allowing it to harden. This would make sense, if not for sheep showing... Don't put a tongue twister in there. If not for sheep showing no signs of the creativity needed to create such art, let alone the intelligence to produce clay tablets. That said, anyone who has seen the footprints of a sheep can certainly agree that the process would be physically possible for them, if unlikely. This may merely be a misinterpretation of the claim. It is entirely possible sheep were specially trained to perform the task, or had their hooves used as tools after death. Other bird legends describe the supposed star gods themselves created in these texts, hence their relevance to the tablets, though such stories are the realm of fantasy. The largest discovery of these relics were found in the Ash Islands of Oceania, and would have fallen from the sky after being thrown into the air by the Great Dark Age cataclysm. This would make their original location the Siberian Wastes, the supposed home of the star gods. Nevertheless, this theory is ultimately on. Pages ended there. The book had seen better days. I thought of the strange spirals on the feet of sheep. How had that come to happen? It seemed too strange to be natural. I thought of the sheep in the field where I had come across the king in yellow, and the clumps of dirty wool in the abandoned cottage. I shuddered. Sheep were weird, but harmless. Something far more sinister was at play, surely? It had been an interesting read. I threw it into the trash box. It wasn't long before Heidi was back. Sorry about that. Customers are a pain. Oh, you finished. Nice one. She looked genuinely pleased with me. You know, you didn't do a bad job. She seemed to think for a moment. Trixie, how'd you like to help me out again? For money, I mean. Your crowbar debt is paid. Oh, wow. I've never had a job before, maybe? I wanted to help Heidi, if just to satisfy my curiosity about her strange inventory. But I also wanted to hang out with Greg or Belle. I wasn't sure if there would be time for that, too. Oh, this is how it does the split? So this game does have multiple paths. It's basically, you pick who you want to hang out with. But I don't like that it splits it off like this. We have to decide on Heidi now. Truthfully, I think Heidi's the least interesting of these characters. When the next prompt comes, I think I'll see what people say, if anything. Nope. Say no. Ain't exactly the most exciting job in the world. Right, I better start closing up. Thanks for your help. I'll see you, Trixie. I wish her a good evening and started the walk home to my bed. I could definitely use some sleep. I was walking past Wilbur Hall on my way to bed when I noticed Nikita fumbling with the vending machine. She was trying to pull a bar of toffee millet out of its slot, but it seemed to be stuck. She gave the machine a frustrated kick and the snack fell out. As she picked it up, she noticed me watching her. Oh, hello, Trixie. I'm on my way back to my room. I have to finish reading the... She seemed almost scared to say it. Got a real deer in headlights look. Yellow, yes, the king in yellow. Nikita seemed skittish. Her usually tidy clothing was scruffy, her fur unbrushed, and her eyes flitted around the hallway frantically. Her constant fidgeting made her look eager to finish talking to me and get back to her room. It was like she'd just been for a spin in a tumble dryer full of caffeine. Are you okay, Nikita? You're kind of a mess. Have you been reading all day or something? Yes I have. All day, yes. Last night too. Preliminary research. It has been an illuminating read thus far. I need to read a little more, but... Trixie? She grabbed me by the shoulders, pulling me close. I looked down at her scared eyes. I knew all too much about the reputation of the King in Yellow. I didn't want to believe it could have done this to Nikita, but... this wasn't right. Trixie, I need to make some notes, and, I need to double-check, read between the lines, but... No, never mind. We can discuss this later, when I'm certain. She let go of me. I better get back to my room. There's... yes. Good night, Trixie. She did a sort of shaky fast walk away from me towards the accommodation block. Bye, Nikita. I was scared. Could this really have been the work of that play? I shook my head. This had to be sleep deprivation. She'd barely slept in weeks with her campaign planning and coursework. I didn't like Nikita, but I was genuinely worried about her health. I figured I'd let her finish reading and get some sleep, then I could always make sure she was okay in the morning. I eventually got back to my room and collapsed onto my bed. It had been a busy day. I was planning to muck about on my laptop until I got tired enough to sleep. It was on my desk, and I couldn't be bothered to get back out of bed. Fair enough. I remembered the book about ghosts I'd gotten hold of a few weeks back. It was probably still on the floor next to my bed. I remembered it being pretty tacky. Peering over the edge, I could see it was. After my sighting in the basement, I thought it might be relevant. If I was going to stay awake a little longer, I thought I may as well use my time productively. Before I could reach for the book, my phone buzzed. Tabby had sent me a message. That was unexpected. I don't speak to Tabby often, which is sad because I kind of wish we were friends, but I don't think she really notices me. I used to think she was kind of weird, but after last week, I have to admit I'm taking her more seriously. I wasn't sure if I could handle a conversation with her right then, but I did think it would be kinda nice to talk to someone. Talk to Tabby. You must. Hey Trixie, one of my Psyker crystal, the green spiral aligned one, went missing. I was wondering if you've seen it anywhere? Hey, sorry Tabby, I haven't seen it. When did it go missing? No worries, some went today, I think. Oh no, keep an eye out for it. Hey Tabby, do you know the King in Yellow? Sorry, not to bug you, just wondering if you're not busy. Oh yes, the infamous haunted play. I know it. Can't say I've read it, though. Why, you researching it or something? I heard that's generally a bad idea. Not to discourage you, I bet it would be a great study for next year. No, I'm not going to read it. I'm pretty sure it doesn't even exist anymore. I was just wondering if you knew much about it. You're a good student. Well, I have to be if I want to be student union president next year, right? I read a few books on it on the uni library. Maybe you can get them out? The notes of Grand Inquisitor Wilhelm were really good for obvious reasons. Anyway, I gotta get some sleep. I'm going to Wolf Fest South tomorrow in town. It's going to be super hot in my costume, lol. Not in that way, you cheeky rat. Maybe you should come to a WolfCon with me somewhen, if you're into that. Maybe. I'll let you get to sleep. Thanks, Tabby. I'll look out for your crystal. I always like how people making furry worlds decide to incorporate furries into their world somehow. Tabby is nice, but I don't really know if she likes me or not. I wasn't super keen on going to WoolCon. Dressing as a sheep and whiffing or whatever they do at those cons didn't sound super appealing. Regardless, it was time to sleep. I had a surprisingly pleasant, if somewhat strange, dream. I was a clerk marrying Nikita to a giant toffee millet bar. And then I married the entire cast of Cyber Dracuyas from Mars. Parsnip was there jumping up and down, throwing confetti. Let's not go into it. Regardless, it was a welcome break from the horrid dreams I'd had the night before. I woke up feeling a lot better. It was pretty early in the morning, but I sent Nikita a message anyway. I didn't get a response, and soon she must have finally gone to sleep. I could check again tonight, and if she was still MIA, I could let security or the campus doctor know she was acting funny. That said, I knew she wouldn't do the same for me. I lazed around in bed for a while until I felt too gross to not shower any longer. Once I was eventually somewhat functional, I decided to work out what to do. Okay, I think this is a good spot to stop, actually, right at the split. So this play is having its effect. But now we just get to do some fun stuff. We get to bake cupcakes or go for a drive. Lucky us. It's Nikita's problem now. Just as she wanted. Ugh. My voice is gonna be shot. Oh. No, that's not what the control button does. I mean, it is in this game, apparently. But it is time to say goodnight. There we go. That is gonna do it then for today. I was hoping to get to around here, and we managed to do so in a little under 2 hours, thankfully. I think we're probably a good halfway through at least. I think next Monday, not Tuesday, because I screwed up and I won't screw up again. Next Monday, we will finish this one up and see if we can survive the horror or discover that no, it's just spores and a lack of sleep. Common sources of weird issues, to be sure. That'll do it then for today. We will be back again Friday at 6 o'clock Pacific. Oh, you know, I made the schedule up, but I didn't actually post it. Friday, we are playing... Oh, the rest of ZZT, The Next Generation for Super ZZT. Then Sunday is going to be more of Mark McIntyre's Unpreserved Worlds, which has honestly been kind of a blast. There's not a ton left, though, so... But if the rest is as good as what we've been getting, I think that'll be a ton of fun, too. And then next Monday, we'll get the rest of Trixie's testimony. So thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Hope to see you all next time. Later.